Welcome to Project Haven, a turn-based squad tactics game where you lead the Steel Dragons on high-risk missions through Earth's last city. In this encounter, the Steel Dragons have reached a key subway station, only to find they've been ambushed by several Brotherhood goons. For Altan and Scarlet, there are two enemies in the adjacent building on an upper level. Let's reposition both to get a closer look. For Indigo and Fang, they've eyes on immediately. Indigo can take her shot, but it's a miss. Shots aren't guaranteed in Project Haven, but you can spend more action points to reduce your reticle's bloom. As for Fang, let's get him street level. With Altan behind cover and a little closer, he takes his shot and lands the first round. We just need to be careful about the enemy on his left. We'll move Scarlet a little closer, behind some cover, and take a shot. Her pistol really isn't ideal at this range. Before we finish, let's reposition Indigo just a touch.
Beat standing still.
What's the enemy got now we've taken our turn? Looks like our first opponent's heading for a window for a closer shot.
These fuckers need a sense of humor.
Whew. He's missed Altan. And it looks like another's heading to the alley. Okay, our turn. Indigo's got a good vantage point here, straight out the door looking down on the street. Let's see if we can't get a headshot. Ouch, missed.
Thanks.
Maybe Fang can have a better try. That's quite a lot of enemies and not an ideal loadout either for this range. But enough for a double tap and a good chunk of health down. If you didn't catch it, Fang also disarms the enemy, forcing them to waste action points. Scarlet and Altan are in good positions now, and close enough for their kits. This should be plenty to put this goon down, even if Altan does miss his second round.
Sacks run dry.
Toodles.
Don't expect me to suffer in silence here, guys.
Altan's taking a little bit of damage while it's the enemy's turn, and they're changing positions off screen. At that distance, nothing too much to worry about. Fang's got multiple enemies with eyes on him, and with a shotgun. I think it's best if we just position him to cover the door using Interrupt. Let's get Altan a bit more cover and use Indigo's sightline to our advantage. She has plenty of action points for her next move, but not enough to finish the goon. With Scarlet only wielding a pistol, I think it's probably about time that we got her closer to the action, to soften up Fang's door attendant. It's the enemy's turn again, more repositioning out of sight. Looks like Scarlet's got him on the run. Fang's turn, and time for some shotgun attention on our opposing friend. Ooh, one goon down. Time to get Scarlet moving a little more to provide some cover for Fang. Altan's currently crouching. Let's get him into a stronger position to shoot down the alley. We've plenty of AP, but it's a little too far for our burst stinger. Let's also use our spare AP to get out of danger. Not enough vision from Indigo, even at this height, but she can secure the alley to protect Altan. More movement from the enemy, with new goons coming in from the east side of the map. Indigo's interrupt caught the goon on the alley, and with 20 action points, there's room for some serious damage here. With 5 health left after shot 1, he's toast.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Okay, maybe Scarlet can finish the goon. She doesn't have much AP, but she's already wielding a pretty poor weapon. Oh, that's not good. And she's in a poor position now. Enemy's turn continues, and Fang's nearby opponent takes a pop at Scarlet for a pretty heavy hit.
Oh, fuck off!
Fang's not happy. I think it's about time we dealt with this goon, and with 20 AP, we've plenty of points to move, land some serious damage before repositioning. Scarlet could finish the job, if she didn't have terrible aim. Thanks, Scarlet. Indigo's still in an awesome spot, and she can cover the goon heading our way down the eastern path. If she can keep eyes on him, that gives plenty of opportunity for Altan to reposition into a far better spot.
Gentle stroll in our beautiful city. Just preparing for my big entrance.
It's the enemy's turn, but as Indigo was keeping guard on her location, she's interrupted their movement and has enough AP for a good headshot.
I'm out.
Just not enough for a kill. Let's let her reload. Enemy's turn again, but this time our eastern goon does the clever thing and finds some better cover.
Oh, fuck off!
Looks like Fang's not happy again. Maybe Scarlet can do something of value this time. When in doubt, throw a grenade.
Ooh, this one's got bits in it.
Finally a kill. A spot of movement for Fang to take cover, and a quick switch to Indigo to kill the Tuk goon should do the trick.
Wrong place, wrong time.
I think a hasty retreat for Scarlet is in order, especially now she doesn't have a grenade. She is an explosives expert after all. One last move for Altan, and that wraps this up for our Steel Dragons ready for the enemy's next turn. This is just a taste of what Project Haven has to offer, with each map bringing unique challenges, enemies, and tactics. Wishlist it now on Steam.
Jump in 10 seconds. Now. Back up. Watch yourself.
Slam the fun back into wrestling games with Action Arcade Wrestling. So what are you waiting for, jabroni? Action Arcade Wrestling is available now.
Merry Christmas.
Peggy 12.
Extra, extra! New update for Honey I Joined the Cult has just landed. We bring you tons of glorious goodness, such as random events. Your cult's day-to-day life will now be enriched by randomly occurring curiosities. Whether it's a clone invasion, the annual nudist parade, or beard growth virus, it will create some havoc for sure. We've also added mission encounters that add opportunities, obstacles, and uncertainty to some of the missions you'll aim to complete. Planning a bank heist to fill the organization's coffers? Well, watch out for that clown lurking in the sewers. Need a new PR campaign to spin? I mean share the joys of being a member? Best prepare for some complications. And most important of all, Christmas cosmetics! Bring a Christmas spirit to your organization's headquarters. Decorate with Christmas trees, penguins, candy canes, snowmen, and other jolly goodies. Ho, ho, ho! So sign up to a great and groovy cause. Play Honey, I Joined a Cult now in Steam Early Access. Your cult is waiting.
"歴史修正主義者による類を見ない計画が始まっています。敵の目論見を調査し、時間粗行軍の攻撃を阻止してください。
主の帰るこの本丸を守りたい。俺たちの願いを叶えられるか？
なぜ我々15振りが拒否権なんてあるのかな。
調査の結果が認められれば、主はきっと本丸にお戻りになる。
何を犠牲にしても守らねばならないか。
主のために。教習調査とは何だ？
新たな義士を検知しました。
周りを見てくれ。あなたを思う、どうしよ
いた！
う。これじゃ鉄砲隊は機能しない。
なんだこの雨は。
ここで毛利と島津に滅ぼされたら歴史が大きく変わってしまう。
どういうことでしょう。
ただ本当に驚いたな。今はやるべきことをやる。そう決めただろ。大丈夫だよ。またもや本丸の危機かい？
妙な敵だ。虫の形をした異形とでも言おうか。
ここは俺が食い止める。
取り戻すしかない。
皆様警戒を。
くそ、どういう状況だ。
気負うことはない。さあ仕事だ。刀剣乱舞無双。名は面影。共に行こう。それでいいな。任務をこなすためには手段を選ばない。
Hello and welcome to a new episode of our in-depth looks into Weird West.
Hi, Raphael Conantonio with Wolfeye Studios. We are passionate developers and gamers at Wolfeye. And as we are playing our own game, on one hand we realize that the game is really great, on the other hand, we realize it's not quite ready yet. The game is being tested in a private beta, and they're having a blast. However, we want to iron out a few stuff, because we are committed to delivering the best experience. We have a long history of making immersive sims, and we all know how great those games can be when it all comes together. You know, every players have their own experience, and there's so many things that can happen. And some of those things can be great, some of those things cannot be so great. So we want to deliver the best experience as possible. This is why we're pushing the game to March 31st, 2022. Thank you for your patience. It's almost there.
My name is Sen Megumiba. I cannot just sit idle and let evil happen. That is why I agreed to the contract. If there are other evils, it is my mission to punish them. That is my justice.
Let's play! Let's play! Let's play together! Big sis! Right! Check it out, Memphis. I found something nice.
I ponder what the Revenant Princess, notorious in Purgatory, is doing in a place like this.
A sword? What just happened? Are you telling me to fight?
Shine within the night of sorrow. Tears blow up toward the stars of hope.
Panta, Ray!
This is my memory of right before I came to this world. All a dream. That would have been nice.
Sure, I can free you.
Really? You'll send us back?
What are you talking about? Of course I'm lying.
You can call me Kokoro. My wish is to take revenge on Anamnesis with my own hands. My name is Sen Megumiba. I cannot just sit idle and let evil happen.
I finally found you! Someone who will play with Nanana!
I won't forgive you! No matter what, I'll never forgive you, Anamnesis! Ah!
Welcome to my potion shop, fellow alchemist. Haven't you heard yet? The Feast of Winter Cone is upon us. Look at all the decorations around and join the celebration with your fellow townsfolk. I heard that finding all decorations during this season can bring you a lot of, festive experience. Make sure you check your alchemist path. I am sure you'll find hints there. Well, duty calls, and I am sure you have plenty of things to do now. Thanks for dropping by. Merry Feast of Winter Cone. May your holidays be bright and your experiments fruitful.
Hey. You guys ready? Ready. Yeah. Always.
fellow Tropicans. They said I would not rule for generations to come. They said I was not dapper enough, but they underestimated my taste for high fashion. They were wrong. Wrong all this time. And now they dare suggest that the sky is the limit. They forgot about my incredible space program and my new drone technology. Delivery, uranium, planks, pizza, surveillance. The quilts have no idea I can see their every move. Now they say nothing. Now, only the sky itself can challenge me. A disaster of apocalyptic proportions. Desperate times call for ingenious measures. I have one apocalypse when you could have two apocalypti. No one can challenge El Presidente. Not by land, not by water, and not even the Caribbean skies.
Take me back to the river, wash away my sin. Take me back to the river, Lord, won't you help me find my way back home? Take me back to the river, break these chains. Oh, can you hear me? Bear my soul. It's taking its toll.
If you were flipping through vinyl albums back in the heavy metal section, and you're flipping through, and then you see the
60-foot tall four-armed demon dude with abs of steel.
He's red.
He has a big axe, crazy grill up in the teeth area.
This force of nature that's coming to like wipe all things away.
And then he shoots those big spiky rocks up through the ground.
He's not concerned. We are not a problem for him.
I've never heard of this band, but this looks awesome.
Choosing where we go next is something that Matt and I spend a lot of time on. And we try to settle on a word or a mood or a feel for the next year's story. So when we decided we wanted to go back to Oblivion, we knew right away that Dagon had to be a part of it because he was such a huge part in Task 4.
It's as much about how he's trying to recruit allies in Blackwood as it is about anything else, because he needs the help. And so that brings in kind of the political and cultural conflicts that Elder Scrolls is known for.
We create what we call a style guide, and that style guide includes the themes of the zone. And for both Blackwood and the Deadlands, Mehrunes Dagon was certainly in the forefront and the background of almost everything we did.
Mehrunes Dagon is the Prince of Destruction, the Prince of Change. All those words mean something very specific to him, but he's a bit of an enigma, I think, to anybody else.
You're always looking at, the themes of what a prince represents, their ultimate goals, how they're going to achieve it, and then how is that affecting the everyday life of the people? What is the culture like in the area? What happens when those two collide? That's always really important, and I think that's something that makes an antagonist's story really compelling.
Even if he's not present, you feel touches of his influence everywhere because everything
that happens is kind of a result of him.
I don't think that he does what he does because he's mean or because he's evil. He does what he does because that's what he is.
Destruction is just a part of reality, right? Like, nothing lasts forever. And when you're the Prince of Destruction, you're kind of the Prince of everything in that sense, right? Like, you have sway over a part of everything.
I had done Dragonhold as a DLC before, but we did that entirely in the office. I knew this chapter, it's a lot bigger, there's a lot more to do in general. And then I was like, oh man, we're gonna do this from home. How are we gonna do this?
Everybody was learning on the fly how to collaborate remotely, so there was a lot of meetings with like muted mics and whatnot.
This gets that kind of like height thing that you were talking about, CJ.
Yeah.
Look up, look up, look up, look up.
See,
there you go.
What's the point?
Yeah.
This year was 100% completely at home. How do we be collaborative in an environment that is really not suited to be collaborative?
In a studio this size, and we're talking hundreds of people all connected in a connected environment, IT is kind of the lifeblood that makes all of that work.
If you can imagine something you really hate in front of you, and just play with that.
It was kind of like glory and chaos at the same time. Everything's like a new frontier, and just every moment is a new issue. Oh, you get the light go off. It was enough to maintain all these things here. Now I need to maintain them at their homes. In truth, in the end, a lot of these folks are gamers. Kind of reconcile that like they know what they're doing.
Bringing Dagon to life literally takes a village. It is a huge undertaking to coordinate all the different groups that are responsible for putting this together.
I'm there kind of to help guide and give them a map to go off of as far as story and location, stuff like that. And it's up to the designers and the writers and encounters and art and everyone else who works on these things to kind of take that and run with it.
When we start any character, we have to do research. And we have to figure out how is this character going to work.
I had my 14-year-old take pictures of me, and I had like, I had my 5-year-olds like toy weapons, and I would like hold them, like I would think Dagon would hold them, and I would do a couple different poses, and then I would take them into Photoshop and draw over them and put them together, so it would be like sets of poses together with 4 arms.
The concepts tend to be in 2D. It's up to us as the character artist to go in and add all the extra heavy detail. We spend a lot of time researching and learning anatomy, so we're able to take that anatomical knowledge and try to come up with an idea of how it would actually work.
Anatomy of where and how those arms are connected was a big part of what the experimentation, kind of exploration was. We had to check punching, we had to check hitting, all the things that you would expect from Dagon.
I'll take a character and I always like to put them in the zone that they're going to be, so that way I can make sure the lighting is perfect, the textures look good in that environment.
How do you art direct around such a distinct and universally read palette, right? Like, what are we going to put into there to make it worth walking around in and interesting and give the content guys something to play with?
There was one particular page, I believe, from Dagon's book that has a red triangle and other symbols on it. And I sat down and I drew from that page for an afternoon. These are symbols that are directly from Dagon, right? I wanted to try to infuse that into the rest of the designs as much as I possibly could.
The horns, the horn-like shapes, all of that molds into the architecture. It all folds into what we're trying to do with the rocks and the environment and the biome.
The Deadlands is a physical manifestation of his will and his, his values. For every rune or magic circle that we have that has Daedric writing on it, there's intention behind all those things.
I see that and suddenly I have more story ideas because like now I've got this space and I can see like the setting of things in this space and it inspires me, then change some of the story beats.
As the quests started coming in and the level design came in, the story had to shift. I remember working really closely with Michelle on it, and you write and you play it and you get feedback and you edit and you play it and you get feedback and you edit and you play it. But that's the fun part because you just kind of whittling away at something until it's perfect.
When you work with something that people know and love, it's a little intimidating, right? Like you can't screw up Mehrunes Dagon.
early on talked to the encounter designer that I was going to be working with, and I was like, I don't really know what's going on for your idea for this fight or what your team is planning for it. He said, oh, well, we're going to have a 300-foot Dagon that the player goes toe-to-toe with. And I thought he was joking. I was like, that's a funny joke.
Having the entire year story culminate in a fight with a Daedric Prince is kind of the dream when you're working on an Elder Scrolls game. He can be the evil. He can be the big bad. He can be somebody that you look at and you go, I don't want to be in league with him. Now, that doesn't stop some people from wanting to be in league with him.
He really sets the tone of everything that you fight, right? Because they're his minions, so they abide by his rules, they serve him.
A lot of the monsters that we worked on ended up getting that sort of treatment. We call it the Dagon treatment.
It greatly impacted the Ruinok. He is created to be the embodiment of Mehrunes Dagon, the voice and the sword of Mehrunes Dagon. So that directly influenced all of their abilities and stuff. And they have whirlwind abilities that they spin around in place and destroy things.
We wanted something beastly and something threatening and something that would feel like a real fight.
Chaotic, hectic, scary nature that is Mehrunes Dagon, and we embody that in some pretty brutal ways.
Because he, as a character, as an entity is so big, we had to decide when to present him at meaningful moments to the player and how those moments are going to impact the overall story.
All of our scenes that have been crafted around his appearance either show him breaking something or being just generally menacing to the people around him.
He's not a slow character, but he's just a really large, deliberate individual, and we have to carry him that way through all the experiences.
They have this huge weight. They're working against gravity. And then you have to figure out a way to represent that in sound. I'll do like a 10-second long arm swipe or something, like something really simple. You have to make that impact and then put all the detail in this 10-second long tail. And that is actually what gives it the size, more so than the loudness or anything. It's all the detail in these long sounds.
And when he talks, he doesn't talk really fast like that. He talks like that. Mortals. Ha 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 ha.
Lehman and I and Becky were talking about how do we make Dagon different from the other princes?
We wanted to do an accent that was unexpected.
Can a flea withstand the rushing waters of a deluge? Can a sapling fend off the flames of a raging wildfire? No.
Dagon's voice should sound deep and powerful, kind of like a volcano that's on the verge of erupting. And Dagon is so huge that we don't want him shouting. He basically fills up the sky.
And so sort of physically, I always think of this channel in the back of my neck where that sort of whatever that sound is, that's sort of a part of him. It's always kind of boiling around his voice, like a storm, that's constantly swirling around him. And so then whatever comes out sort of comes out all in the focused energy like that. His presence, his personality, his desires, it's literally world consuming. So you don't often get to play somebody with that kind of vision and with that kind of potential.
He has to be all-empowering, and he really doesn't think that you're anything for him to worry about, but also, he has to sound a little scary, because he's big.
The guy doesn't exist really until he's got a voice and sounds and everything, and then he's like a real presence.
Run, little maggots. Flee from the god of destruction.
Typically, when I'm writing the Elder Scrolls orchestra music, those sounds are fairly straightforward. A violin sounds like a violin, and a French horn sounds like a French horn. But in Deadlands and then in the dungeons as well, I took the liberty of doing things like taking string section recordings and treating them as sound design source. In the overworld, there's a soprano singing. When you get into the underworld, you know, I can even sometimes grab that same source. Like, let me take that song that she was singing up there, and then I'm gonna take it down here and just destroy it. I'm gonna do all this stuff to it. But they've been badly burned and mixed back in.
It's almost metal. And that kind of tone and that kind of feel and vibe carries all the way throughout. You can feel those heavy undertones of Mehrunes Dagon and his influence.
Super happy with how Mehrunes came out. The first couple of times we saw people play through a main quest and hit those first couple of moments where you get to get a glimpse of Mehrunes and you hear his voice.
Ooh, Daddy Dagon! His model is so cool and it's huge. It's absolutely enormous.
Look at that big boy. Swinging that axe.
When you watch the Twitch streams and they're like, holy crap, look at that, he's huge, you know? So it definitely gets us excited and motivated, and everything we do is for the fans.
I love to see people take on the challenges and figure out the puzzles that we throw at them.
Yes! Let's go! Achievement!
Oh, jeez, I don't know how I survived that. But I did.
Really makes it all worth it is just seeing the fans like reacting to a character or a line that you didn't think anybody would notice.
They're really supportive. They create some of the most amazing fan art of any community I've ever seen.
Dagon looms large over the Elder Scrolls universe. And so we wanted to make sure that we were paying off that lineage. We weren't just cradling this flame, we were feeding it, stoking it, and making it burn brighter, and something that could be passed on to other installments of the Elder Scrolls.
I think anyone who is creative always gets excited when they get to see something come to life.
俺様はオリアス・エンデルス。助けが必要な時はいつでも呼んでくれ。後悔はさせねえぜ。俺様ちょっと優秀すぎるよな。そのせいで同業者に依頼がいかなくなっちまう。安心しな。どんな魔物が出てこようと俺様がきっちり守ってやるぜ。
Do you ever think about what could have been? And how your decisions have led you to this point? Sometimes I'm not even sure if there is a right way, much less how to find it. I have no choice but to act. The clock is ticking. In trying to see the future. We will face our regrets in the end.
楽しい狩りの始まりやったー、私のが強いじゃん。ええ、そうであることを期待します。カレー牛差しよし切ってきた。極めたもう一度ブラックシープ止まりなさい。これが私の全力だ。正なきなり正なきなり てどこにもないのよ。
Is that Tri-Edge? Either way, he's going down. And then I'll bring them all back. Every last one!
The ones who are truly worthless are those who do not realize your true worth. Become stronger, Haseo.
It's time. All of the feelings that I've carved deep into the world are going into this one attack! I'll get you out of there one way or another. Hang in there, Ovan.
I have a favor to ask. This is your new power.
Feels like I've been waiting forever. Waiting for us to stand together, side by side. And now, there's nothing that can scare me.
You mean nothing that can scare us?
We are right here!
Welcome to Hardspace Shipbreaker, an industrial zero-G starship salvaging game. I'm Elliot Hudson, game director on Shipbreaker, and I'm here to talk about the upcoming Atlas Tugged update. The
Pioneering
Lynx Corporation has announced that thanks to
admirable
business practices and
nonviolent
negotiations, the company has acquired salvage rights to a new class of starship, the Atlas class. The Atlas is a true workhorse, and it comes in 3 configurations: the Scout, the Nomad Cargo Hauler, and the Roustabout Tugboat. They all share 2 important qualities. First, They're equipped with powerful quasar thrusters, so massive you have to crawl inside to salvage them. Beware that the thruster fuel lines may become unstable and could lead to extreme
shift bonuses.
Second, they have a compact two-story interior. These can be complex to disassemble and will require expert planning and maneuvering. With new
candidates
arriving daily and completely
fair and legal
business operations, Lynx Corporation shows no signs of slowing down. Along with the Atlas line of ships, the Atlas Tugged update brings a whole range of optimizations, bug fixes, and improvements. If you haven't already, you can pick up Hardspace Shipbreaker in early access on Steam. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook, or join our official Discord to meet other shipbreakers and occasionally chat with devs. Thanks for watching, and stay
highly productive.
D ボルト・レーベレンツ。この町で用心棒をしている。やはり手に馴染む剣が普段使いには一番だと思ってな。趣味というだけだ。マニアではない。それに強い武器を作らねば奴を撃つことはできない。